Welcome to the first annual Appreciate Me Halloween special. I'll be sharing with you 4 spooky movies that I enjoy all year round and think more people should too. You will not believe how many stars are in this comedy slasher film. It's got Kaylee from The Big Bang, Spencer Hastings' annoying older sister, that girl from that show I never watched, all these people from more popular TV shows I never watched, the beautiful, beautiful creature that is Paul Wesley, aka Stephen Salvatore from The Vampire Diaries. Even frickin' JC from NSYNC is in this movie. I found this hidden treasure at a family video of all places. Now, I had a few dreams as a child, and I remember I particularly wanted to live out some sort of 90s fantasy when I was older. There were 2 major things I wished about for years and years as a kid. 1, I wanted to drive a classic Jeep Cherokee. Never happened. And 2, I wanted my first job to be at Blockbuster. Thanks, Netflix. Getting back on track here, the acting is pretty decent and the storyline has some originality to it. A reality TV show's future is in danger when the cast and crew start getting picked off one by one by a mysterious killer. While doing some research for this video, I found some clips on YouTube from the movie, and I totally forgot how funny it actually is. Like this clip, which is something I've totally thought of before while watching scary movies.
What do I think about the amount of accidents in this town? I think it's a shame having all the pretty people. I'm just kidding, that's not even funny, that's inappropriate, sorry.
Or this other funny clip.
She's very, how to say this?
I held her hand. Well, I blocked her hand. Yeah, she was trying to hit me. It was my fault. I made a mistake. But yeah, I mean, we're pretty close.
I'd say high maintenance in a really good way.
It's the kind of movie you would watch on a rainy day and probably forget about as soon as you're done watching it. But I think it's important to also have movie experiences like that too. Not every movie is supposed to be Oscar worthy, and this one certainly isn't. I think movies like this one shouldn't be hated simply for the fact that they're not top tier content. Speaking of top tier content, this next one's definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. I absolutely love this movie. Around 8th or 9th grade, I checked it out from the library and watched it an unhealthy amount of times. Technically, it's not a straight-up horror movie, but it's still in the same ballpark, so I wanted to still include it in today's list. It's a video game adaptation, and although I've never played the games myself, I think it does a pretty good job making a decent movie out of a simple shooter game. Released in 2005, this monster action movie stars Carl Urban, who I totally still have a crush on, and Dwayne Johnson, back when he was still going by just The Rock. The 2 lead a special ops team to a research base on Mars after some crazy stuff starts going down in one of the labs there. Most of the acting is pretty, and there's a ton of cheesy one-liners. What's your first mission? I need soldiers. I don't need anybody else but soldiers. Does it ever bother you that you could have spent your life looking through a microscope instead of a sniper scope? Overall, I like what they did with the story and how they decided to tell it. One of the best parts of Doom, I think at least, is a sequence near the end of the film that's shot in first-person POV. So it actually feels like you're playing the game the movie's based on. They also use a similar technique for the end credits that I think is pretty neat too. This Spookfest was released 20 years ago and stars beautiful blue-eyed Jared Leto, 90s heartthrob Joshua Jackson, along with Alicia Witt, Rebecca Gayheart, Tara Reid, and Lex Luthor himself, Michael Rosenbaum. Which, side note, if you have the chance to buy this on DVD, you have to listen to the commentary. I had no idea how funny Michael actually was until I listened to the commentary, and it made me love him even more. As the title suggests, a killer goes around taking out college students using popular urban legends to do so. This cult classic is so fun to watch, and it also has a really nice musical theme too. Fun fact, the director of Urban Legend actually sent in an audition tape for the next entry on my list, but unfortunately a director had already been chosen for the film. Now I couldn't do a Halloween special without giving a shout out to my boy, Kevin Williamson. Technically, this movie was a box office success. It made $125 million from a budget of $17 million and spawned 2 sequels, one better than the other. But it's often overshadowed by the enormous success of his first film, the masterpiece that is Scream. So I wanted to give it a special shout out here. Not many people know that this movie is actually based on a book from the 1970s written by Lois Duncan. I read it back in the 6th grade, and it's actually a really good book. It's totally different from the movie though, and I'm pretty sure nobody even dies in it. The story. After covering up a deadly accident from the year prior, a group of good-looking teens start getting picked off one by a killer out for revenge. This movie had A before A was even a thing. It stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and pretty boys Freddie Prinze Jr. and Ryan Felipe. Is it getting hot in here? Back when Vine was a thing, I actually made an edit or two for this movie. If I can find them, I'll include them in the outro card. Just like the rest of the entries on this list, this movie also features some great one-liners. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? Overall, the cast works well together, and I think it's a nice watch. I give this classic slash a 9 out of 10. All the movies I talked about today can either be found on Amazon or Netflix. So grab some popcorn in your sody pops, maybe a couple friends if you got them, and enjoy all of the gifts these movies have to offer you. Happy Halloween, y'all!